Phil Tufnell, Mel C and Carol Vorderman spend Friday night with Jonathan Ross here on BBC One at 10:35.
Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News for You. I'm John Sargent, and on behalf of the BBC, I'd like to apologise for the repeated use of the F word in last week's programme. This week we've promised we'll try not to mention France at all. In the news this week, touching home video footage is unearthed of Mr. and Mrs. Beadle moments before the birth of Jeremy. In Kettering, having wallpapered his turkey, Britain's most absent-minded man moves on to his next chore. And outside a restaurant in Cardiff, there's a rough reception for the mint sauce delivery man. On Ian's team is a comedian who unusually has a degree in maths and physics, which, let's face it, isn't exactly rocket science. Oh, sorry, that's exactly what it is. Dara O'Brien. On Paul's team is a Liberal Democrat MP who goes out with a weather presenter, and even she can forecast he'll never be in government. Please welcome Lembit Opik.
So early on.
And we start with round one. Paul and Lembit.
OK, this is obviously a classroom. That's Charles Clarke. Yeah, Clarke is his known. Half girl, half sack. Well, there's several stories all rolled into one there, John. Charles Clarke went to school, didn't he? And there were some kids who sort of started doing the sort of bunny fingers behind his head, and you didn't know about that.
Oh, there we are.
Who's doing his ears?
But what about the SATs tests, though? These were the tests which were reformed?
They weren't reformed, they were just dropped, weren't they? They found that all the kids were stupid, so they just dropped the test. Like they said, on reflection, let's not do anything with these.
It's become an aspiration now instead of a target. Now, I've never understood this, the 3 R's, reading, writing and arithmetic.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was an A.
Well, writing begins with a W.
That's a good point.
There was a problem with 11-year-olds. They came out of school illiterate and innumerate. So the government said, we'll set a target, 85% of kids have got to pass these tests. And then they realised they were going to fail. So they dropped the test.
Yeah, but the kids who are innumerate, they don't count, do they? But, yeah, you'll be using it tomorrow. So that was that story. Now, the sack race thing is...
competition, isn't it?
Yeah.
That, some schools stopping the competitions from taking place because losing was a bad thing, as I can tell you.
What's wrong with the sports day?
Oh, I'm all for sports day. I mean, I thought we'd lost all this in the 70s, the idea that people couldn't lose. I mean, as Lembit said, it's very good training for later on in life.
Everyone a winner. I don't know.
Well, not necessarily in your case. Oh, no, sorry, childish.
So nice.
One of these young people due to take a test was sent home. Can I throw out the name Kenny Jameson? Does that mean anything to you?
Kenny Jameson?
Oh, yeah, he was...
I've never heard of him.
Oh, yes, because of his hair.
He's been combing his hair with a saw.
He claimed that Beckham actually copied him.
Right, so are we moving on to why did David Beckham do this?
He wants to get thrown out of school, clearly.
No, I think the clue is that he's going to see someone important.
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela, right now then. This is one of the great momentous moments in history, isn't it?
It's an amazing honour for everyone involved in, you know, the FA and the England team. So we've brought a shirt down, which...
Oh, very good.
As you know all about
Very good. Very good.
Well, it's a very moving moment. Now, what did Nelson Mandela say about the haircut?
He said he couldn't comment on it because he was too old, he'd seen too many young people doing too many silly things with their hair in the past.
Nearly right, Ian. I am too old to express an opinion on the latest developments by young people.
I know
in other
how he
words, he
feels.
thought he looked a twit. Yes, this is the turmoil in the education system. Teachers are preparing themselves for a spate of Beckham lookalike haircuts. David Beckham has admitted that after his hair was done, his head hurt for a while, presumably from working out 10% for the barber's tip. Ian and Dara, this is for you.
Oh, this is all fat cat pages stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a cat eating cream. That's a lot of pills.
Yeah, which we're both desperately trying to act that we know it's Viagra. We're trying not to admit to it. Like,
That's not Viagra, is it?
no, that's Patricia Hewitt. Much the same effect, I've heard.
There's been a shareholder revolt
Shareholder revolt
at a big
about...
drug company.
Yes, and that big drug company happens to be GlaxoSmithKline and its chief executive, Jean-Pierre Garnier.
Or
yes?
JP, as he's known. He likes to be known as JP, rather than that bastard who gets 22 million if he gets fired.
It's the first time that the culture of rewarding people for failure has been challenged in this country, because it's been a British tradition for a long time. You run a big company, it goes down the toilet, the shareholding price goes, we all lose our pensions, you get a big payoff. Seems fair.
And what's it called? What's the name for this?
Capitalism.
A golden parachute. Golden parachute, just what we all need.
It's not the ideal material for a parachute to be made out of, is it, really? As you're hurtling towards the earth, you think that must be worth about 400 quid.
I like Garnier, though. He said afterwards, well, for heaven's sake, I'm not Mother Teresa. And I thought, no, we never thought you were.
But she made some good polish. She made 35 million, she got. She really got them.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big incentive, though, isn't it, if you get £22 million for getting the sack? I mean, how long would you stay in your job for? You would just go up to your boss and say, I slept with your wife last night. I brought the suitcases with me. I mean, you wouldn't be in the job 5 minutes, would you, John?
No, It's the angry shareholders vote against a massive payout for the chief executive of Glaxo. According to The Guardian, Jean-Pierre Garnier was in charge when Glaxo Wellcome merged with SmithKline Beecham. His company is now known as GlaxoSmithKline, so just like him, no longer welcome. This week's AGM was a stormy affair. According to The Guardian, one shareholder after another stood up to criticise Mr Garnier's package. It's a bit personal, isn't it? Time now for the tabloid headline round. Ian and Dara, here's your cryptic headline clue. Prescott tells Mandelson to shut up.
This is about the Euro, I presume.
Come on, yes, you're warm, you're doing well.
Oh, you're a little tease, aren't
Yes.
you?
What about Ian? Big tease?
I feel I've stumbled across another side of you, John. I believe this is a political story. Mandelson went to a lunch with a group of journalists, and off the record, with a group of female journalists. Peter Mandelson doesn't know much about the media. No. He just happened to say, Brown's a bit of a loony between us, train spotter, anorak, bit mad, and Blair's lost the plot. And amazingly, all the journalists said, thank you, Mr Mandelson, and wrote it down. And the story appeared the next day.
And what did Peter Mandelson say to one of the journalists, the main journalist who leaked the story?
Am I talking too quickly for you?
He said to her, you're finished.
Why, she'd finished writing, or...
No, because he was...
The pudding was over.
He meant you're finished, your career is over.
Yes, well, he should know, shouldn't he? Do you think he'll be back again?
No. Yes, actually. Yes, I can't lie.
There'll have to be a stake through the heart next time, just to be absolutely certain.
What else was Peter Mandelson worried about in this rather intimate conversation, which we've now heard all the details of?
He said the avocado salad was a disappointment.
No, this is very personal.
I feel like I'm at a seance of some description. You're there going, there's something. Is there a Mary in the room?
He turned up to this lunch and he said at some point I'd probably got prostate problems.
But didn't he also say, this is quite alarming, he didn't know where his prostate was?
Didn't he say it was in Huddersfield? In a jar? Has that satisfied your curiosity?
What about another Euro row, though?
I don't have to start ranting again. Well, I got something wrong last week. I said that Romano Prodi was in charge of the European Commission when the whole Commission had to resign because of a corruption scandal, and he wasn't. It was Jacques Santer. I got the wrong European.
Very decent of you to put that right.
You know, I feel obliged.
Yeah. I was thinking about ham, Ian.
Parma ham. Parma ham.
Yes. I missed that then.
Parma ham. As they were trying to sell Parma ham because it's
Yes.
ham that doesn't come from Parma, and they said we slice it here and it's Parma ham, and then we call it Parma ham. But people from Parma said no, because the ham is sliced here, so it's Parma ham. If it's not sliced here, it's just ham.
How do you know this stuff?
Well, it was in one of the papers, and I thought I might read up as I knew I was coming on this programme. It's a little
point.
A little tactic of mine. I shouldn't have revealed it, really, but it's a great deal of success over the years.
Yes, this is the continuing row over Europe and Peter Mandelson's contribution this week. Despite the alleged row, Gordon Brown has said he is very happy for Britain to join the Euro just as soon as the 5 tests for hell freezing over are met. According to the Mirror, on the day that Mandelson spoke out, Gordon Brown gave a speech on the Euro to business leaders at the CBI annual dinner. Sorry if I look happy, but there was a time when I'd have had to be there. Paul and Lembit, your spinning headline. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
This is the rather bizarre story. This woman, Nicole, somebody who she's taken out an insurance policy, or somebody's agreed to accept money from her.
Let's have a look at her. She's Nicole Jones, and her husband is a builder.
Yeah. If a panel of 10 independent builders say she is ugly, then they will pay up this money.
Well, I like the statement from the insurance policy. They said, it's a genuine policy. We will be prepared to pay out on it. Well, you can't, both those statements can't be true, can they? The company also offers, I should say, a policy to cover alien abduction.
Yeah.
So, Lembit, I think you would like that, wouldn't you? You're interested in aliens abducting people?
Yes, but...
So you believe in meteorites, they're not aliens.
yeah, I believe in meteorites. One day
Everyone
we'll be...
believes in meteorites.
It's
You believe in the moon. They're not a fabled creature drawn across the sky. Comets, they also exist, right?
Yeah.
But elves, no.
We're 750 times more likely to die in an asteroid impact than to win the national lottery.
Yes, thank you, Lembit. I think we'll go on now. You're absolutely right. No, it's very important, right.
The chances of winning the national lottery and then being hit by an asteroid.
Yes,
Small.
Thank you.
as well,
Thank you
of
very
course.
much, Lewis. Thank you very much.
Bad
Hold
day,
on.
but it's the heat that gets
Hold
you.
on. That is it now.
Yeah, yeah,
It's quite enough.
It's the heat. It's the heat, John.
Gets you.
It's the heat that gets you from the asteroid.
Is it? The lava.
There is a cream you can get.
Yes, as it says.
What do you mean, yes?
Yes.
Nobody said anything in the last 5 minutes, which the answer is yes.
It is
He's
yes.
hoping it's an edit point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, it's the story of the builder's wife who
still
insured
told
her
her.
for £100,000, which made it to page 24 of The Sun, unlike her husband, who never
getting
gets
older.
past page 3. According to The Sun, Mrs. Jones's attractiveness will be judged by a panel consisting of 10 randomly chosen builders, or as The Sun usually refers to them, asylum seekers. Ian and Dara, US in POW Barney, what's that all about?
They've Iraqi people who they're interrogating at the moment. And in order to break them, they played the Barney song at him repeatedly for 45 minutes. Right? I have no children myself. I am told that this is like an appalling thing anyway. I love you, you love me. I'm quoting, by the way. And I don't know if they actually get Barney to come into the cell.
Right, well,
No, I think that's against the Geneva Convention.
All right.
let us have a go at some of this music and just see whether we feel tortured.
Okay,
Here we
go
go.
ahead.
I've got children, stop it!
And knick-knack, paddy-whack, give the dog a bone. Did somebody write that tune?
Let's go on now, because there's more music.
Okay.
Here we go.
Is that Barney's...
He's changed direction, hasn't he? Yeah,
Is that the difficult second album for Barney?
You're good on this sort of music, Ian. What do you think?
That was Barney's heavy metal phase.
Ah,
Exactly.
heavy metal. That's clever.
It's actually his grunge phase. That was Nirvana, wasn't the second one?
No, it's Metallica, a classic of metal. And it was. With Enter Sandman. Who else has been investigated for the way that he either has or hasn't treated the Iraqis?
Oh, Colonel 10. Somebody.
Tim Collins is accused of, among other things, firing into the ground, which
Yeah,
is
that's where he stopped.
environmentalism gone mad if you can't fire a gun into the ground. And of pistol whipping Iraqi prisoners. And I have no idea what pistol whipping is, like whatever. I presume it's just making the noise and going, get in there.
This is the revelation that US interrogators are trying to break the will of Iraqi prisoners of war by forcing them to listen to a mixture of children's songs and heavy metal. Elsewhere in Iraq, Colonel Tim Collins has been accused of war crimes by an American soldier. Officers on active service can sometimes overreact, according to a fellow officer, Colonel Bob Stewart. In Northern Ireland, I can personally remember slapping a woman because she was going absolutely ballistic and was uncontrollable. But that's Mo Molan for you. Paul and Lembit, your question. I'm a convict, get me out of here.
Ah, yes, the clue's in the backward letters, I think. There's a new show on Russian television. They want to find the most musical prisoner in a Russian prison. And so prisoners can come forward and they can sing a song, and if they're it's decided at the end of this talent contest they are the most musical prisoner in Russia, they are released. That's what's happening.
That's it.
It sounds like a made-up story, but I'm sure it is.
This is how BBC News reported this, but listen carefully, very carefully, to the commentary. It's brilliant.
But it's a struggle hitting the big time when you're inside doing time. As anyone here will tell you, it's no business like show business. Ruslan's serving 5 years for manslaughter, so the only venue he can play at the moment is the prison club. It's a captive audience. Ruslan says he's learnt his lesson. He's taken the rap. Now he wants the rap to take him out of jail.
National and international news from the BBC. Do you think that standards in television are falling, Lembit? What about your girlfriend?
No, Sean did very... She loved being out in the jungle from the moment she arrived to the moment she left, but she was bored to tears. Nothing to do.
She didn't do anything for a long time, did she? That was the problem. Do you know what the problem was with Sian Lloyd?
Yeah, she couldn't change her shoes for 7 days.
What is that? Shoes?
That's what they called it when you didn't have a dump in the jungle. That's true.
Why would she want to go to the toilet in her shoes?
That's what they called it, for the sensibilities of the viewing public.
But when she finally did...
Yeah.
Oh, God, are we actually putting this on?
What exactly...
Bad enough that ITV puts this rubbish on. Have we got to talk about it?
Hold on a moment. When she finally got into the mood...
They're doing a new show called Celebrity Corpus, where you dig up somebody after 5 years and try and guess who they were.
Darius is furiously digging away into the ground.
Yes. It's relentless.
if ever the word yes was misused, that was then. Yes.
Yes.
Say
it's
no.
the relentless march of pop culture. Russian prison officials are organising a singing competition for Pop Prisoner of the Year, with the winner earning their freedom. It's been described as Pop Idols in Prison. Now, that's an idea. The new show has been described as Eurovision with handcuffs. Well, that's the only way you get me to watch it. At the end of all that, the scores have moved on to Ian and Dara, 6, Paul and Lembit, 6 also. Round 3 is all about picking the odd one out. Paul and Lembit, your 4 are George Galloway, Abu Hamza, Steve Bing and Glenn Miller.
Is Steve Bing the only one who hasn't left the country, or isn't being thrown out of the country?
No, you're not really onto it. So here's the clue. Glenn Miller is the odd one out because of one of his hits.
Moonlight Serenade.
No.
Death to the West?
Nope.
In the mood.
In the mood for driving the Israelis into the sea?
Yeah.
No. Tell you what, we'll actually play you a bit of it.
Go on.
Oh, yeah. Pennsylvania 4-5.
Pennsylvania 65000.
Yeah.
So telephone numbers. It's about
Telephone numbers. Yeah, we're getting onto it.
Abu Hamza finds it relatively difficult to use a mobile phone.
To do with the sun and the mirror, does that help?
The sun and the mirror.
They taped the conversation.
Oh, they've bugged them. Have the sun and the mirror bugged all of those people?
No, I'll have to tell you, you're not doing very well. They've all had their telephone numbers published in newspapers except Glenn Miller, who made a phone number famous through song.
Ah.
Now, what about Mustafa Hamza? Let's say a bit about him. Do you know what his real name is? Sorry, do you know about Abu Hamza? Do you know what his real name is?
Mustafa. It was like a psychic thing. It seems like I heard the answer before you asked the question. Very spooky.
Is he right?
Abu Hamza's real name is...
Kevin.
Must have a camel. Must have a camel. It's not very funny, but it's absolutely true. And what was the wonderful mistake the Sun made when they printed Galloway's phone number?
Well, they got it wrong, and some poor sod got thousands of phone calls.
Helen Jones, fellow MP. Yeah. She spent the next 48 hours fielding calls for Galloway. Yeah. How has the Labour hierarchy reacted to these allegations against Galloway?
Well, they've thrown him out, haven't they?
Yeah, Mr Galloway has been suspended, they said, during an internal investigation. Rather more detail than we needed, I'd have thought.
That's rich coming from you. Oh, shit in the boots jungle, man.
Yes. Abu Hamza claims he lost his hand and one eye in a landmine accident. Asked recently if he had at the time been making an explosive device, he replied, "Talk to the hook, because the patch ain't listening." Ian and Dara, your favourites are John Lennon, Ringo Starr, James Dyson and William Henry Davis.
No intention of telling us who William Henry Davis is, I suppose, at this stage.
Is he Pipe Man of the Year, 1931?
He's the guy who wrote that, the poem, What is Life is Full of Care, we know have no time to stand and stare.
I'm incredibly impressed.
Try.
A literate and cultured MP.
All right, I'll give it a bit more.
Foreign.
I'll do it with a bit more emotion.
Go on, then.
Go on, then.
What is this life is full of care? We have no time to stand and stare.
How about a bit less emotion?
Oh, right. OK, so that's...
This is about gardens.
It is about
Yes,
gardens.
gardens is good. Gardens is good.
Because Ringo was at the Chelsea Flower Show this week, where they had built a garden, and he was pictured standing in the middle, being slightly disappointed in a kind of a, well, where are all the naked hippie chicks?
Hold on a minute. Let's have a look at that. I love
Very
that.
nice.
That's very Ringo.
Dyson, you'd imagine, is very rich, so probably has a garden.
Very clean garden.
Yeah.
The Ringo Starr's the odd one out because he's forgotten what he's done with his cigar. He thinks he's still got it in his hand. So which one's the odd one out?
Dyson.
Yeah, now,
Dyson- yeah, okay.
Lembit has stumbled on the right answer for the wrong reason. They've all inspired gardens except Dyson, who didn't inspire a garden but did make a water feature.
Oh, yes, it's the water that runs
Chelsea.
uphill.
Oh, pale, yeah.
There it is. Look at that.
Extraordinary.
Do you know what the garden is called that he's got his fountain in?
Water gone balmy.
No, it's called the wrong garden. They wanted to have no green in it. I wanted, he said, to investigate the idea of wrongness as a design principle. And he could also look into smugness and uselessness. The William Henry Davis poem Leisure inspired the inmates of Ley Hill Open Prison to design a garden for this year's Chelsea Flower Show. According to a flower show spokesman, it's a perfect natural scene with a boathouse, pond and wildflowers that a prisoner might imagine while locked in a cell. Maybe, but my money's still on a naked woman. Missing Words is the final round, featuring this week's guest publication, UFO magazine. I imagine, Lembit, you're a regular reader?
Funnily enough.
Funnily enough, what?
Yes.
Yes? So here we go. Henry VIII is what?
Dead. Topical news quiz.
A sequel too fast is Henry VII.
Henry VIII is cleared of theft. According to the
really?
Times, new evidence suggests the Lindisfarne Gospels were removed during the reign of Elizabeth I. Police are now looking for a 400-year-old ginger-haired woman, and Robinson has gone into hiding. Next, what puts fear of God into Tokyo criminal?
Tall people. Dyslexic pets.
Yeah.
All right.
I was exceptionally proud of that.
Sumo Patrol puts fear of God into Tokyo criminals.
Surely you'd hear them coming, wouldn't you?
Next, Tories will be what?
Is this party of the poor?
Well done.
Labour's now the party of the rich, so there's a gap in the market. So the Tories have gone for it.
With the slogan, remember us, we got you here.
Next, Giscard d'Estaing is now so grand he thinks he's what?
A piano.
The answer is Louis XIV.
Oh, yes, he does, too. L'état, c'est moi. I don't want to go into another rant, but really.
What does that mean?
The state is me. That's basically his plan for the new European constitution.
How do you feel about that?
I'm not too bothered, really.
No. I'm the same. Wish I hadn't done that.
You excited a lot of people last week, Ian, with that.
What did you say, Ian?
You were too busy watching I'm
Yes.
a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Saying to your girlfriend, what's wrong with your shoes?
Shouldn't capture your
I'd get
imagination.
your feet a wash, love, if I were you.
And finally, aliens kept what captive in what?
Sardines tin. Widdicombe leotard. Dinosaurs in Cave of Many Lights. Giant bee, Hammersmith.
The answer is quite simple. Kept contactee captive in lunar prison. The story appears above a drawing of two aliens spotted near Leicester by Ron Stone and a friend. The magazine quipped, no wonder they needed a drink afterwards to steady their nerves.
Can we have a look at that picture of the two aliens again? Could that come up again? What's wrong with the shoes on the right-hand side? You see?
Do you like them, Lembit? I mean, are they your sort of people?
I've met them, actually.
Are they liberal? They look like Liberal Democrats. That brings us to the end of tonight's contest, and the final scores are as follows. Ian and Dara have 9, Paul and Lembit 7.
Oh.
Before we go, there's just time for a quick caption competition.
Rationing, bad news for mascot.
Is it the Hambusters?
Thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Dara O'Brien, Paul Merton and Lembit Opik. And I leave you with news that at Tory Central Office, Ian Duncan Smith's press conference is delayed by technical difficulties. In Beijing, Chinese astrologers admit they've never known a year quite like it. And 1 month after the war in Iraq, questions are asked about the level of security at the Chelsea Flower Show. Good night.
A pub quiz for Inspector Fowler and his team on the Thin Blue Line on BBC Two in a few moments. Here on BBC One, it's Friday night with Jonathan Ross in 35 minutes. News of tonight's guests in just a moment.